Selling without discovery is like a doctor prescribing medication without a diagnosis, or a server bringing out your meal before you've even looked at the menu. What the? I'm a vegetarian!
How would I explain a discovery call?
Let me explain. Discovery is the process of uncovering and understanding your prospect's problems.
Ultimately, the discovery is to figure out, is there a problem? Is there a pain that I can possibly identify, dissect, uncover?
I cannot sell something if I don't understand the problem that this customer has.
So the purpose of a discovery call is for you and the other person that you're talking to get to a place of mutual understanding. Can I help this organization fix their problem and get to the place they want to end up? And for them, the customer, figure out, can this person help me get to where I want to go?
The whole point of discovery is to find a significant need. If you don't take the time to identify your prospect's needs, it doesn't matter if you have the perfect solution for their problem. The deal will be kaput. You need the need.
Most people, when they have an issue, don't immediately say, I'm going to book a discovery call with Nick, the sales guy. What they do is they try to solve that problem themselves. And I want to understand that because that's going to give me a lot more clarity on where they are in their buying journey, what other alternatives they've tried.
The best sales professionals use the discovery phase to ask questions to understand the prospect's situation without emphasizing their own company or the product they sell. Think of it like a super platonic first date. You want to show the other person you're a catch, but you can't just talk about yourself the whole time. Get to know them. But first, it starts with the most exciting step of all, the research. Before jumping on the call, arm yourself with details about your prospects, their business, and any possible challenges they may have.
I go look at the person on LinkedIn. Have they worked at a company that we've worked with in the past? I also see who they're connected with to see like if there's clients that they're connected with that I know. I'll go to the website itself. I'll see who they're hiring, what announcements do they have, did they recently get funding, did they hire a new executive? These are really good points you could bring up at the beginning of the call.
If you go into the call prepared, you're not just making your prospect feel appreciated. You're also getting to skip the boring, obvious questions and jump straight into the targeted, more meaningful ones. And maybe this is where the first date analogy ends, unless a meticulously detailed list of talking points is your idea of romance. And now for the discovery to officially begin.
Once I got the conversation going with a prospect, I bring them to a discovery call. I ask them for at least 15 minutes of their time.
Start by making some small talk and be sure to use your research to make a good first impression that shows your prospect that you've done your homework and you already know a bit about them.
All this information isn't to, at the beginning of the call, say, hey, I know everything about you. Let me dump it on you in like in 2 minutes. That's going to be really annoying. So there's a way that you could do it to show that you've actually done your research. And if you do this, you'll be in the top % of every AE sales rep because not a lot of people do this. They just get into their questions.
You never know if someone's going to be like a small talk person and they want to chat for a little bit in the beginning. And what you want to make sure you do is if you've got one of those people, the ability to say, hey, you know what? When I was preparing for this meeting, I saw on your Instagram you had a really delicious looking steak dinner last night and I'm kind of jealous. Where did you go? Tell me about that.
Next, take the time to set out some expectations, like if anyone else will be attending and how long the meeting will take.
What I don't want to do is show up and just start peppering them with questions. And in the back of their mind, they're like, okay, this guy's asking me a lot of questions. I have things I need to learn and we haven't even talked about that. And by the way, I've got a hard stop at 10:30 and does this guy know that? Because I have a meeting with my boss after this. You've got to put all of those anxieties to ease in the beginning of the call.
Remind your prospect that this call is about them and their needs. You want to understand their current process and where they want to be.
I'll say, hey, typically this conversation goes 2 ways.
You might learn something here today that makes you realize that we're not a great fit for you. And if that's the case, totally fine. Just let me know. You're never going to hurt my feelings.
Finally, mention that you'll set up some next steps during your call. Setting expectations is called an upfront contract, and it ensures that you and your prospect are on the same wavelength. It also gives you control over the call. Next, it's time to ask some questions. Depending on what sales methodology you subscribe to, your actual questions may vary, but you'll definitely want to start by getting an understanding of your prospect's current situation.
It's just coming to this level of understanding of, what's really driving them? What do they really want to achieve? What are the big challenges they have? And that takes some time because you don't have a right to receive that information. You have to earn that right through building, as I said, this connection and trust with the people you're talking with.
Start strong. A great way to open is with a question like, what caused you to reach out to us? Or if the call is outbound, try, what made you want to take this call? From here, you'll work to get a clear understanding of how things work in their day-to-day. Command questions like, walk me through, or tell me about, are great tools to get someone talking. Next, try to learn about 3 or 4 problems they're facing with their current solution, and ask them about the impact those problems are having on their business.
I want to understand what this means to them personally. And so a question that I really lean on heavily is, can you tell me about the moment when you realized that this was a problem? I thought for a long time I had to ask super sophisticated questions on discovery calls. And I realized that basic questions like, what would you like to accomplish today? Or could you tell me a little bit more about that? Sometimes get the best answers.
Remember, this is a listening exercise. You don't want your prospect to feel like they're being cross-examined. Use listening skills to ensure your prospect feels heard, and softening statements to break up your questions.
Take the time to connect on a human level with the buyers, be interested in them, ask questions that the buyer's going to stop and go, good question.
Once you have a better understanding of your customer's problems, try summarizing what you've heard in your own words from start to finish.
I'm going to stop in the conversation, have a pit stop with you to be like, hey, this is what I'm hearing so far. I want to make sure it's accurate. And then I'll detail everything that I've heard, but also clarifies that this is their current state and the potential future state they're looking to go to. So if they all agree and say, Morgan, that's exactly what's going on, then I know I'm in the right direction and I need to keep drilling into that. If they say, nah, then that means I didn't ask the right questions, or maybe I did something wrong, or maybe they're not clear on what their problem is and that they need to go back and figure it out, right?
And from here, it's time to enter the decision process, where you'll gauge if your prospect wants to proceed and find out how their company brings on new tools. You might ask them, when were you hoping to have a solution in place? Followed by, who else will need to be a part of the evaluation? Is there a budget already set aside? And who will give the final approval?
You're never going to ask someone directly, like, are you the one that's going to sign the contract? Are you the one that has the checkbook? Instead, you're going to ask questions like, is there anyone else that might find this conversation valuable? Is there anyone that if we didn't include, they might feel left out?
At this point in the call, it's pretty normal to realize that maybe this isn't a match made in heaven. I know you thought they were the one. If that's the case, politely say your goodbyes and leave the door open for the future. But for now, let's assume that all your amazing, well-researched, thoughtful questions have led you to believe that you really do have a great solution for this prospect and their need. In which case, it's time to talk next steps. Woohoo! Your next call will probably be a more in-depth demonstration of your product or service. You'll want to set an agenda for that call now, so the prospect can see the value in actually showing up. Let your prospect know to expect an invite from you, alongside an email recapping your call.
I'm never ending up in this purgatory where we finish the call and they say, all right, follow up with me in 2 weeks. And then I have to send 530 emails and things disappear. They'll say, hey, I have no idea if this will work, but I guess I can send you an invite for maybe Thursday or Friday next week. And in the event that works, just invite the rest of the team. If it doesn't, just decline the invite and let me know a better time that works for you.
Include the key points you discussed on your call and lay out each of the confirmed next steps. Then ask the prospect to confirm that everything in your email is correct. That's it. You did it. The perfect discovery call. You successfully identified your prospect's pain points. You were able to confirm that your product is a valid solution. You found out what next steps you'll have to take to move this deal forward. From there, you even set up the next meeting where you'll actually dive into your solution. Finally, you set that meeting in stone with an invite and a recap of all the valuable information you were able to learn. Wow, I'm actually really impressed with you. That was a lot of work. Great job.